The Great Hall of the Commonwealth Council buzzed with angry voices. Alien species from across the galaxy had gathered to argue about who owned what in the outer regions of space. The Vorthons, with their blue scales and sharp teeth, shouted demands from their seats. The Krell, looking like giant insects with their hard shells and clicking sounds, laughed at their enemies. The bird-like Altarians spread their colorful feathers in displays of anger. In the back corner of the observation deck, Ambassador David Torres watched it all happen. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. For 30 years he had been Earth's voice in this place. For 30 years he had mostly stayed quiet and listened. The humans always sat in the cheap seats. The other species gave them the worst spots in meetings. They treated Earth's people like children who should be seen but not heard. David had grown used to it, even though it made his jaw tight with anger. Below him, Counselor Vex of the Vorthons stood up. His voice was loud and the outer rim belongs to those strong enough to take it, not to weak species who hide behind their words. David knew Vex was talking about humans even though he did not say it directly. The Vorthons always did this. They would insult Earth's people without naming them, thinking they were being clever. Perhaps some species are too scared to speak up, Vex continued, looking directly at David through the thick glass. Maybe they have nothing useful to say. Other aliens laughed. The sound echoed through the hall like the noise of a pack of wild animals. David felt his hands form into fists, but he kept them at his sides. His orders from Earth were clear. Watch, listen, learn, but do not fight back. The Krell leader, a creature called Hive Mind 7, made clicking sounds that meant amusement in their language. The silent ones sit in their corner like good pets. They know their place in the order of things. More laughter filled the hall. David had heard these same jokes for decades. The aliens thought humans were weak because they did not start wars or make threats. They saw Earth's small military and quiet diplomacy as signs of fear. They had no idea how wrong they were. David's communication device buzzed softly in his ear. Only he could hear it. The voice of Lieutenant Emma Blake, his assistant, came through the tiny speaker. "Sir, we have a problem. A big one." David touched his throat, turning on his private communication channel. "What is it?" "Our colonies in the Outer Rim. 17 of them have stopped talking to us. All communication cut off in the last 6 hours." David felt his blood turn cold. 17 colonies meant almost 2 million people. Men, women, children living on worlds they had built with their own hands. All silent. "Any distress signals?" he asked quietly. "Nothing, sir. No emergency messages, no calls for help. They just stopped talking, all of them at the same time." David looked down at the arguing aliens with new understanding. While they fought about who had the right to take land in the Outer Rim, someone had already taken action. Someone had silenced 17 human worlds. He turned away from the observation window and walked down the empty hallway. His footsteps echoed off the metal walls. The Commonwealth Council station was huge, with miles of corridors connecting different sections. David knew them all by heart after 30 years. As he walked, he thought about the colonies. New Geneva, with its farms and schools. Port Darwin, where miners worked to find rare metals. Haven Colony, where families had built a new life after leaving Earth. All silent now. David reached his office and sat down at his desk. The room was small and plain, nothing like the grand offices the other ambassadors had, but it served his needs. He activated his secure communication system and sent a coded message to Earth Command. The message was short. "The silence has been broken. Request permission for Protocol 7. Protocol 7 was not something David liked to think about. It was Earth's final option when diplomacy failed, when their enemies pushed too far, when the time for watching and waiting was over. The reply came back faster than he expected. Permission granted. May God help us all. David stared at the message. For a long time, he had spent 30 years keeping the peace. 30 years of insults and mockery and being treated like a servant. But he had done it because Earth Command believed it was necessary. They needed the other species to think humans were weak and harmless. Now that time was ending. David activated another communication channel. This one so secret that only 5 people in the galaxy knew it existed. Admiral Kane, this is Torres. Protocol 7 is active. The response came from Admiral Lisa Kane, commander of humanity's most classified military forces. Understood, David. The fleets are moving into position now. How long do we have? The Council is voting tomorrow on a joint mission to investigate our missing colonies. They think it might be pirates or some kind of technical failure. They have no idea what they are really dealing with. Good. That gives us 18 hours to get ready. Are you prepared for what comes next? David looked out his office window, at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, human fleets were moving through space invisible to alien sensors. Ships that had been built in secret. Weapons that used technology the Commonwealth had never seen. Soldiers trained for a kind of war that had not happened in centuries. I have been preparing for this day for 30 years, David said. We all have. Then it is time the galaxy learned who we really are. The communication ended, leaving David alone with his thoughts. He had watched the aliens mock his people for decades. He had listened to their jokes about human weakness. He had sat quietly while they divided up the galaxy like it belonged to them alone. Tomorrow, they would learn the truth. Humans had not been weak. They had been patient. They had not been hiding. They had been preparing. David walked to his window and looked out at the Commonwealth Council station. Thousands of aliens lived and worked here, representing hundreds of different species. They all believed they were the masters of the galaxy. They thought humans were just another minor species to be ignored or pushed around. By tomorrow night, that would all change. The ambassador touched his communication device one more time. Emma, cancel all my meetings for the next few days. I think we are going to be very busy. Yes, sir. Should I tell the other ambassadors anything? David smiled for the first time in hours. It was not a pleasant smile. Tell them that humanity appreciates their patience with our quiet ways. But our time of silence is ending. As David settled in to wait for dawn, he thought about all the human colonies scattered across the galaxy. Not just the 17 that had gone silent, but hundreds of others. Millions of people who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. They deserved better than to be treated as second-class citizens in their own galaxy. Soon they would have it. The Commonwealth was about to learn that the meek might inherit the Earth, but the patient would inherit the stars. Admiral Lisa Kane stood in the center of the most secret place in human space. The command room was buried deep inside Titan Station, hidden in an asteroid field where no alien had ever looked. For 300 years, this place had been humanity's greatest secret. The room was huge, with walls covered in screens showing star maps and ship positions. Hundreds of people worked at control stations, their faces lit by the glow of their displays. They wore dark uniforms with no insignia that aliens would recognize. These were the ghost soldiers of Earth's hidden fleet. Lisa was a small woman with short black hair and cold blue eyes. She had spent 40 years preparing for this day, 40 years of building ships in secret, training crews in hidden bases, developing weapons that the Commonwealth could not imagine. The main display showed the current positions of all the major alien fleets. Vorthon battle groups patrolled near their home worlds. Krell hive ships stayed close to their industrial planets. The proud Altarian Navy protected their trade routes with military precision. None of them knew what was coming. Admiral, called Commander Jack Reed from his station. All theater commanders report ready. Ghost Fleet Alpha is positioned near Vorthon space. Ghost Fleet Beta has reached the Krell border. Ghost Fleet Gamma is holding at the Altarian frontier. Lisa nodded. The Ghost Fleets were humanity's answer to 3 centuries of careful planning. While the alien races had grown comfortable with their old technology, humans had been innovating. Their ships could not be seen by Commonwealth sensors. Their weapons worked in ways the aliens had never encountered. Their soldiers were trained for a type of war that had not been fought in the galaxy for 1,000 years. What about our missing colonies? Lisa asked. Major Beth Anderson looked up from her tactical station. Evacuation complete, Admiral. All 17 colonies have been moved to secure locations. The communication blackout went perfectly. The aliens think those settlements just disappeared. Lisa allowed herself a small smile. The vanishing colonies were the opening move in a larger game. While Commonwealth fleets rushed to investigate the mysterious disappearances, humanity's real forces would be getting into position for the main attack. The plan was simple, but brilliant. Make the aliens think something had happened to human colonies in the Outer Rim. When they sent investigation fleets to look for answers, those fleets would walk directly into humanity's trap. Sir, Reed interrupted. Priority message from Ambassador Torres on the council station. The main screen changed to show David's face. He looked tired but determined. Admiral, the Commonwealth Council has voted. They are sending a joint investigation fleet to search for our missing colonies. 300 ships from 4 different species, all heading to the Outer Rim. They think it was either a technical problem or pirate attacks. How long do we have? Lisa asked. The joint fleet launches in 16 hours. They will reach the first colony site in 2 days. They have no idea what they are flying into. Lisa turned back to the tactical display. 300 ships was a large force by Commonwealth standards, but they would be spread out across 17 different star systems, looking for clues about what had happened to the human colonies. That meant small groups of ships in each location, far from help if something went wrong. All fleet commanders, Lisa announced over the secure communication channel. This is Admiral Kane. Operation Silent Thunder is now active. Move to Phase 2 positions. Remember, we are not just fighting for our colonies. We are fighting for the future of human independence in this galaxy. Acknowledgements came flooding in from dozens of ship captains scattered across human space. Men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Crews who had kept humanity's greatest secret for decades. Lisa walked to another section of the command center, where Captain Robert Martinez was coordinating the stealth operations. Martinez was a veteran of the outer colony conflicts, a man who had seen firsthand how the aliens treated human settlements. Status of the ghost fleets? Lisa asked. All ships report full stealth capability, Martinez replied. The new quantum displacement fields are working perfectly. Commonwealth sensors cannot detect us even at close range. We could park next to one of their battleships and they would never know we were there. The quantum displacement technology was humanity's greatest breakthrough. By shifting their ships slightly out of normal space, they could become completely invisible while still being able to observe and attack. It had taken 50 years to develop and another 50 to perfect. What about weapons status? All ships are armed with the new exotic matter projectiles. Gravitational field generators are online. Dimensional phase cannons are ready for combat. Operations. Lisa nodded. While the aliens had spent centuries fighting with the same old plasma weapons and energy shields, humans had developed entirely new types of warfare. Weapons that attacked the fundamental forces holding matter together. Defenses that operated outside normal space-time. The command center's atmosphere was tense but controlled. Everyone knew they were about to make history. For 300 years, humanity had been treated as a minor species in galactic politics. They had been ignored, insulted, and pushed around by aliens who thought they were superior. That was about to change forever. Admiral, called out Lieutenant Nancy Hill from the communication station. We are receiving reports from our listening posts throughout Commonwealth space. The alien fleets are moving. They are gathering ships from multiple species for the joint investigation. Lisa studied the incoming data. The Vorthons were contributing 80 ships, including some of their newest battlecruisers. The Krell were sending 60 vessels, mostly their organic hive ships that could repair themselves during battle. The Altarians had committed 70 ships, their crews trained to military perfection. Various smaller species were adding another 90 vessels to the force. They are taking this seriously, Lisa observed. Yes, ma'am. Our intelligence suggests they are worried about the implications. 17 human colonies disappearing simultaneously has them concerned about a new threat in the galaxy. Lisa almost laughed. They were right to be concerned, but not for the reasons they thought. The threat was not some unknown enemy attacking human settlements. The threat was humanity itself, finally ready to stop pretending to be weak. Time to contact our field commanders, Lisa decided. She activated the secure channel that connected her to every ghost fleet in human space. All units, this is Admiral Kane. The Commonwealth Investigation Fleet will be the largest joint operation in their recent history. They are bringing their best ships and their most experienced crews. She paused, looking around the command center at the faces of her staff. These people had sacrificed their entire careers to serve in a military force that officially did not exist. They had worked in secret, trained in hidden bases, and prepared for a war that might never come. Now it was finally time. They think. They are investigating the disappearance of our colonies, Lisa continued. What they are actually doing is walking into the most sophisticated military trap in galactic history. We have studied their tactics for 3 centuries. We know their weaknesses. We have weapons they cannot defend against and defenses they cannot penetrate. The responses came back from dozens of ship captains, voices full of determination and anticipation. The ghost soldiers of humanity were ready for battle. Execute Phase 3 in 18 hours, Lisa ordered. It is time to show the galaxy who we really are. As the command center buzzed with activity, Lisa walked to the main observation window. Beyond the reinforced glass, she could see the asteroid field that hid Titan Station from alien sensors. Somewhere out there, the Commonwealth Investigation Fleet was preparing to launch. They thought they were going to solve a mystery. Instead, they were about to become part of galactic history, the day when humanity stopped being silent and started being heard. The Commonwealth Investigation Fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a storm of metal and fire. 300 warships appeared around the 3rd planet of the Kepler 442 system, where the human colony of New Geneva should have been sending daily reports. The ships formed a defensive pattern, their weapons ready and sensors scanning for any sign of danger. Fleet Admiral Korath of the Altarians commanded the joint operation from his flagship, the Stellar Pride. The Altarians were known throughout the galaxy for their military skill and smart battle plans. If anyone could solve the mystery of the missing human colonies, it would be them. Korath had 4 eyes that could see in different types of light. His feathers were a deep blue color that showed his high rank. He stood on the bridge of his ship, studying the data that flowed across multiple screens. Around him, his crew worked with the precision that made Altarian fleets famous. "What do the scans show?" Korath asked his tactical officer. "We are detecting abandoned settlements on the surface, sir. But there are no signs of fighting, no weapons, damage, no debris in space around the planet. It is as if 2 million humans simply decided to leave everything behind and walk away." Korath's feathers ruffled with confusion. In 40 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. Colonies did not just disappear without leaving some trace of what had happened. There should be distress signals, emergency beacons, or at least some sign of struggle. "Begin detailed scans of the other systems," Korath ordered. "I want to know what we are dealing with." What Korath did not know was that his every move was being watched. Hidden in the outer reaches of the star system, sensors more advanced than anything in the Commonwealth arsenal tracked every ship in his fleet. The watchers were invisible, protected by technology that made them impossible to detect. Captain Robert Martinez commanded the stealth ship Phantom's Edge from its hidden position 3 million kilometers away. His vessel was a masterpiece of human engineering, equipped with quantum displacement fields that rendered it completely invisible to alien sensors. From his position, he could monitor every move the Commonwealth fleet made. The Phantom's Edge was not alone. Dozens of other human ships hung in space around the investigation fleet, all of them hidden by the same advanced technology. The aliens had no idea they were surrounded. "Sir," whispered Lieutenant Nancy Hill from her sensor station, "the Commonwealth fleet is splitting up. 40 ships are heading to New Geneva. 60 more are going to Port Darwin. The rest are spreading out to check the remaining colonies." Martinez smiled coldly. The aliens were doing exactly what human strategists had predicted. By dividing their forces, they were making themselves vulnerable to humanity's preferred method of attack. Instead of facing 300 ships at once, the human fleets would fight smaller groups that could not help each other. "Signal Ghost Fleets Beta and Gamma," Martinez ordered. "Execute Phase 3 on my mark." Across the galaxy, the trap began to close. While the Commonwealth investigation fleet spread itself across 17 star systems, humanity's hidden fleets moved into attack positions. The ghost ships used gravitational fields to hide behind asteroids and planets, their crews preparing weapons that the aliens had never seen before. Admiral Korath was studying holographic images of New Geneva's abandoned capital city when his communications officer suddenly straightened. "Sir, I am receiving a transmission. It is coming from everywhere at once." "Explain that." "The signal is broadcasting simultaneously from all 17 systems, sir. It is using our own communication network somehow." The main display flickered, and a human face appeared. Admiral Lisa Kane looked out at the Commonwealth fleet with cold determination. Her expression showed no fear, no doubt, only the calm confidence of someone who held all the advantages. "I am Admiral Lisa Kane of the Earth Defense Force," she said, her voice carrying across hundreds of light years to reach every ship in the investigation fleet. "You are trespassing in human territory. You have 15 minutes to withdraw from these systems or face the consequences." Korath's beak opened in what passed for laughter among his species. "Human territory? These are unclaimed systems in the Outer Rim. And where exactly is this Earth Defense Force? I see no human ships on my sensors." Kane's expression did not change. "You are looking at them." The space around the Commonwealth fleet suddenly came alive with light. Dozens of massive warships materialized as if summoned from nothing. Their sleek hulls were black as space itself, covered with weapons unlike anything in the Commonwealth arsenal. The stealth fields dropped simultaneously across all 17 systems, revealing the true extent of humanity's hidden fleet. "Impossible," breathed Korath's tactical officer. "Sir, I am reading over 800 human vessels. They were there the whole time, and we never saw them." The alien crews stared in shock at their sensor displays. Ships that should not exist surrounded them on all sides. Weapons that operated on unknown principles locked onto their vessels. An entire fleet had appeared from nowhere, like a nightmare made real. Kane's voice continued the broadcast. "For 3 centuries we have watched you. We have learned your strengths and studied your weaknesses. We have prepared for this day. You have taken our people, and now you will face the consequences of awakening a sleeping giant." Korath activated his fleet-wide communication system, trying to maintain control of a situation that was spiraling beyond his understanding. "All Commonwealth vessels, assume battle formation. Prepare for combat operations against unknown hostiles." His words were cut off as the first wave of human weapons fire lit up the darkness of space. The aliens were about to discover that humanity's long silence had not been born of weakness, but of patience. 300 years of watching and learning were about to pay off in the most devastating way possible. The human ships moved like ghosts through space, appearing long enough to fire their weapons before vanishing again into dimensional phase. Their attacks came from all directions at once, making it impossible for the Commonwealth forces to mount an organized defense. Vorthan destroyers found their plasma cannons useless against enemies that existed partially outside normal space. Krell hive ships discovered that their organic armor provided no protection against weapons that attacked the molecular bonds holding their vessels together. Altarian battlecruisers learned that their famous energy shields were worthless against gravitational fields that crushed metal like paper. "How is this possible?" Korath demanded as he watched his fleet being systematically destroyed. "The humans have been peaceful traders for 3 centuries. Our intelligence files show no significant military capability." His tactical officer's voice shook as she replied, "Sir, our intelligence files appear to be completely wrong." On the Phantom's edge, Captain Martinez watched the battle with professional satisfaction. The Commonwealth fleet was fighting bravely, but they were facing technology centuries ahead of their own. Human ships phased in and out of normal space, striking without warning and disappearing before the aliens could respond. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Hill, "we are receiving surrender requests from 93 Commonwealth vessels. The rest of their fleet is either destroyed or attempting to flee the system." Martinez nodded. The battle had lasted less than 2 hours, but the outcome had never been in doubt. "Accept the surrenders," but maintain targeting solutions on all remaining vessels. Signal Admiral Kane that Phase 3 is complete. The message reached Kane on Titan Station as she watched tactical displays showing similar results across all 17 systems. In less than 4 hours, humanity had destroyed or captured more than half of the Commonwealth's investigation force. The remaining ships were scattering in panic, racing back to their home systems with news of humanity's awakening. The galaxy was about to learn that the quiet species in the corner had been preparing for war all along. The news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In less than 6 hours, every major Commonwealth world knew that their investigation fleet had been destroyed by an enemy they had never seen coming. The humans, who had been dismissed as weak traitors for 3 centuries, had revealed themselves as the most dangerous military force in known space. On the Vorthon homeworld, Emperor Vask paced back and forth in his war room deep beneath the Imperial Palace. The blue-scaled ruler had built his empire on the belief that strength was the only thing that mattered in the galaxy. Now he faced an enemy whose strength he had completely underestimated. "How many ships do we have in the home fleet?" Vask demanded, from his military advisors. General Thex, his top commander, checked the tactical displays. 500 warships, Your Majesty, plus the orbital defense platforms around Vortha Prime. No enemy has ever broken through our defenses. Vask was not convinced. The reports from the survivors of the investigation fleet painted a picture of human technology that seemed impossible: ships that could appear and disappear at will, weapons that ignored shields and armor, an entire fleet that had remained hidden for centuries. "Double the patrols around all our systems," Vask ordered. "I want early warning sensors placed at every hyperspace jump point. If the humans are coming for us, I want to know about it." What the Emperor did not know was that human ships were already in his system. Captain Susan Torres commanded the stealth battleship Revenge as it hung in space, just outside Vortha Prime's detection grid. The massive alien world spun slowly below them, unaware that death waited in the darkness above. Susan was Ambassador David Torres' younger sister. Like her brother, she had spent decades preparing for this moment. But where David had used words and diplomacy, Susan had trained with weapons and tactics. She was one of humanity's best ship commanders, chosen to lead the attack on the Vorthan capital. "Target analysis complete," reported her weapons officer. "We have identified the primary orbital defense stations. 12 platforms, each one capable of destroying entire fleets." Susan studied the tactical display. The Vorthan defenses were impressive by Commonwealth standards. Energy weapons that could crack planets, missile systems with enough firepower to level continents, shield generators that could protect the entire world from attack. None of it would matter against humanity's new weapons. "Sir," called out her sensor operator, "we are detecting movement in the outer system. Vorthan patrol ships are increasing their search patterns." Susan smiled coldly. The aliens were nervous, but they were looking in all the wrong places. Human stealth technology was so advanced that their ships could hide right next to enemy vessels without being detected. "Signal the fleet," Susan ordered. "All ships begin Phase 4. Target the orbital platforms first, then move to ground-based installations." Across the Vorthon system, dozens of human ships dropped their stealth fields simultaneously. They appeared like ghosts materializing from the void, their weapons already locked onto targets. The aliens had seconds to realize what was happening before the attack began. The first orbital defense platform never had a chance to fire its weapons. Susan's ship appeared directly above it and fired a single shot from its main cannon. The projectile was made of compressed dark matter, a substance that existed in multiple dimensions at once. When it hit the massive alien structure, the platform did not explode. It simply ceased to exist, its matter scattered across 11 different dimensional planes. Around the planet, similar scenes played out as humanity's technological superiority became devastatingly clear. Vorthon defense platforms fired everything they had at the human ships, but their weapons passed harmlessly through targets that existed partially outside normal space. Return fire from the humans was precise and deadly, each shot destroying installations that had protected the world for thousands of years. Emperor Vask watched the destruction from his palace command center. In 17 minutes, the orbital defenses that had made Vortha Prime unconquerable were reduced to expanding clouds of debris. His home fleet of 500 ships was scattered and burning, their crews dead or fled. "Your Majesty," his communications minister said urgently, "we are receiving a transmission from the human fleet." Admiral Kane's image appeared on the Emperor's personal screen. Her expression was cold as winter, showing no mercy for the ruler who had spent years mocking her species. "Emperor Vask," Kane said, "I believe you have something that belongs to us." "I do not understand," Vask stammered, his earlier arrogance replaced by fear. "We have no human prisoners. Our species have had minimal contact. 2 million of our people vanished from 17 colonies, Kane replied. Our investigation suggests Vorthon involvement. You have 1 hour to produce them, or we will begin dismantling your empire world by world. Vask knew the humans were lying. The Vorthons had not attacked any human colonies, but he also knew that it did not matter. The humans had demonstrated the power to destroy his entire civilization in a matter of hours. Truth was less important than survival. "We will search our records," Vask said desperately. "Perhaps there has been some misunderstanding." "You have 59 minutes, Kane replied, and the transmission ended. Similar conversations were taking place across the galaxy. Human fleets had appeared above every major Commonwealth world simultaneously. The Krell homeworld found itself surrounded by ships that ignored their organic defenses. The Altarian capital discovered that their military precision was useless against enemies they could not see or predict. On the Commonwealth Council station, Ambassador David Torres stood before an emergency session of alien leaders. The same species that had mocked human weakness days earlier now looked at him with terror and respect. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted in a single day. "The demands of Earth are simple," David announced to the assembled delegates. "Return our missing people. Acknowledge our territorial claims to all systems in the Outer Rim. Grant humanity a permanent seat on the Commonwealth Council with full voting rights." Councillor Vex of the Vorthans, who had made jokes about human weakness just days before, now spoke with barely controlled panic. "Ambassador Torres, we cannot return people we do not have. This is all some terrible misunderstanding." David's expression did not change. "Then perhaps our fleets should continue their search. I believe they are currently conducting thorough inspections of your homeworlds. Such beautiful planets. It would be unfortunate if anything happened to them." The threat was clear and unmistakable. Humanity had demonstrated the ability to appear anywhere, strike without warning, and disappear before retaliation was possible. The Commonwealth's entire military doctrine was useless against an enemy that operated outside the known laws of space and time. "We demand proof that you actually have military forces of this magnitude," declared Ambassador Krill of the Altarians. This could all be some elaborate deception. David touched his communication device. "Admiral Kane, please provide proof of our capabilities to the Council." Moments later, every screen in the Council chamber lit up with images from across the galaxy. Human fleets surrounded the homeworlds of every major species. Weapons capable of destroying planets were aimed at centers of government and industry. The Commonwealth's greatest military installations lay in ruins. "Is this proof sufficient?" David asked quietly. The emergency vote was unanimous. Humanity was granted everything it demanded, plus war reparations that would fund human expansion for centuries to come. The species that had arrived last in galactic politics had become its dominant power in less than a week. As the formal surrender documents were signed, David allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. 3 centuries of patience and preparation had led to this moment. Humanity no longer needed to sit quietly in the corner while others decided their fate. The galaxy had learned to respect them, even if that respect was born of fear. 6 months after the Commonwealth surrender, the galaxy had settled into a new order. Humanity now held a seat at the center of galactic politics, no longer the quiet observers in the back corner. The Outer Rim territories that had once been disputed were now officially human space, protected by fleets that remained mostly invisible but ever present. Ambassador David Torres walked through the halls of the rebuilt Commonwealth Council station. The corridors that had once echoed with alien laughter at human expense now buzzed with respectful conversation. Species that had ignored Earth for centuries now sought meetings with human representatives. The change was remarkable and complete. David entered the main council chamber for the monthly session. His seat was no longer in the back corner with the minor species. The humans now sat at the central table, equal partners in decisions that shaped the galaxy. Around the great circular room, alien ambassadors waited for the session to begin. Emperor Vask of the Vorthons sat 3 seats away from David. The blue-scaled ruler who had once mocked human weakness now avoided eye contact. His empire had survived the human attacks, but barely. 3 of his outer worlds had been completely evacuated as a demonstration of human power. The populations had been relocated safely, but the message was clear. The council will now hear the monthly report from the human colonies, announced the session moderator. David stood and activated his presentation display. The 17 colonies that were temporarily relocated have been successfully returned to their original worlds, David announced. All 2 million colonists are safe and have resumed their normal lives. We thank the Commonwealth for their assistance in resolving this crisis. It was a carefully crafted lie, and everyone in the room knew it. The human colonies had never been attacked or kidnapped. The entire crisis had been staged to justify humanity's emergence as a galactic power. But none of the alien species dared to challenge the official story. Counselor Vex shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The Vorthon who had spent years insulting humanity now spoke with careful respect. We are pleased that your people have been safely recovered. The Commonwealth stands ready to assist with any future security concerns. David nodded graciously. Earth appreciates the Commonwealth's commitment to galactic peace and stability. The formal session continued for 2 hours, covering trade agreements and territorial disputes. But the real business happened in private meetings after the public session ended. David found himself approached by a steady stream of alien ambassadors, all seeking favorable trade deals or security arrangements with humanity. Ambassador Krill of the Altarians was the first to request a private meeting. The bird-like alien who had once questioned human military capabilities now spoke with nervous respect. Ambassador Torres, my government wishes to discuss expanded trade relationships with human colonies. We believe there are opportunities for mutual benefit. David smiled politely. I will forward your proposal to Earth Command. I am sure they will give it proper consideration. Similar conversations followed with representatives from dozens of species. The galaxy had learned that friendship with humanity brought protection and prosperity, while opposition brought consequences too terrible to contemplate. Admiral Lisa Kane observed the diplomatic meetings from her office on Titan Station. The secret base remained hidden from alien sensors, but its importance had grown enormously. From this invisible command center, humanity projected power across the galaxy while maintaining the illusion of a modest defense force. Status report on fleet deployments, Kane requested from her staff. Commander Jack Reed pulled up the latest tactical displays. Ghost Fleet Alpha maintains patrol routes along the Vorthon border. Beta Fleet is monitoring Krell space. Gamma Fleet continues surveillance of the Altarian trade routes. All remaining fleets are positioned at hidden bases throughout human territory. Kane studied the star charts showing human ship positions. To alien observers, humanity appeared to have a small, but highly advanced navy. They had no idea that over 3,000 human warships remained hidden in dimensional phase, ready to appear wherever they were needed. Any signs of resistance or organized opposition? None, Admiral. The Commonwealth species seem to have accepted the new galactic order. Trade is flowing normally. No military buildups detected. Several minor species have requested to join human protection agreements. Kane was pleased, but not surprised. The demonstration of human power had been so overwhelming that resistance seemed pointless. Why fight an enemy that could appear anywhere, strike without warning, and disappear before retaliation was possible? Captain Robert Martinez entered the command center with the latest intelligence reports. His stealth ship had just returned from a reconnaissance mission deep in Commonwealth space. Admiral, we have completed the survey of alien military capabilities. The results are exactly what we expected. Kane reviewed the data on her personal display. Commonwealth fleets had not grown stronger in the months since humanity's emergence. If anything, they had become more cautious and defensive. Several species had actually reduced their military spending, apparently deciding that conventional forces were useless against human technology. Any attempts to develop new weapons or defensive systems? A few research projects, but nothing that poses a threat. The Altarians are working on improved sensors, but their technology is still centuries behind our stealth capabilities. The Fourthans have started studying dimensional physics, but they are approaching it from completely wrong directions. Kane nodded. Human technology had been developed in secret for 3 centuries, building on principles that alien science had never discovered. The Commonwealth races would need many decades just to understand how human weapons worked, much less develop effective countermeasures. What about the Krell hive minds? They are the most interesting case. Our analysts believe the Krell are actually relieved by the new situation. Their hive structure makes them naturally suited to following strong leadership. They seem content to accept human dominance as long as they are left alone to manage their own affairs. Kane found that assessment believable. The Krell were not interested in galactic conquest or political power. They simply wanted to maintain their colonies and continue their strange collective existence. Humanity's emergence as the dominant military force actually simplified their lives by reducing the need to worry about external threats. Maintain current surveillance levels, Kane ordered. I want to know immediately if any Commonwealth species shows signs of planning resistance activities. As her staff returned to their duties, Kane walked to the observation window that looked out over the asteroid field. Somewhere beyond those floating rocks, the galaxy continued its daily business under humanity's watchful protection. Trade ships carried goods between worlds. Colonies expanded into new territories. Diplomatic missions maintained peace between species. All of it happened under the invisible umbrella of human military power. The ghost fleets remained hidden but ready, their crews maintaining constant vigilance. The Commonwealth species had learned to live with the knowledge that humanity could strike anywhere at any time. Ambassador David Torres finished his last diplomatic meeting of the day and returned to his quarters on the council station. His office had been enlarged and redecorated to reflect humanity's new status, but he kept it simple and functional. Through his window, he could see alien ships arriving and departing on peaceful missions. David activated his secure communication link to Admiral Kane on Titan Station. Lisa, how are things in the real fleet? Quiet and professional. The crews are maintaining readiness, but there is no immediate threat to respond to. The aliens seem to have learned their lesson. Any regrets about how we handled this? Kane considered the question carefully. We spent 3 centuries being treated as second-class citizens in our own galaxy. When they were ready to sacrifice our colonies without a second thought, we showed them the consequences of underestimating humanity. I think we did what was necessary. David looked out at the stars beyond his window. The galaxy that had dismissed humanity for 3 centuries now lived under their protection. It was not the future he had imagined as a young diplomat, but it was perhaps the future that humanity needed. The important thing is that it worked, David said finally. We are no longer the quiet ones sitting in the corner. We have earned our place at the table. And across the galaxy, humanity continued its watch in silence, ready to unleash hell on anyone who threatened the peace they had created.